Oh, so the next part, I just realized I'm not sure if I saved the first part of this. So yeah, I may have to go back and redo this in even worse light. So that's excellent. Let's just keep going though. The next book that I read was The Seven Ordeals of Count Cagliostro. This book got saved from my last unhaul, the last culling that I did, and put it in a pile. And if I hadn't read it by February, I was going to send it out into the world. I am so glad that I read this book. Oh my goodness. I have a bit of a thing for that time period just before and during the French Revolution. The time period of Marie Antoinette and Catherine the Great. I'm really quite fascinated by both of those queens, and Josephine, who came after Marie Antoinette. And what I did not realize, this summer actually, I read a historical fiction novel called Abundance. I can't remember who wrote it. I'll have to look that up and link to it. But anyway, it was a great read. There were parts of it that didn't quite work for me, but overall it was really, really good. And what I didn't realize, I knew that the whole necklace thing was kind of the beginning of the end for Marie Antoinette. But what I did not know until I started reading this was that this Count Cagliostro, it's not his real name. I think his real name is Balsam. Anyway, I did not realize that he actually also had a role in that. So that was very fascinating to me. Also, his connection to Catherine the Great was also fascinating to me. I knew she had written plays. She wrote plays and and essays, and actually, I think she might have even written a novel or two. But anyway, she wrote some plays, essentially mocking him. And so that was really interesting. In the book, there are some arguments made that in kind of a roundabout way, he was responsible for the not responsible for the revolution, but was one of the catalysts for the revolution. Just because of his running around Europe spreading subversive ideas and that sort of thing. I didn't really get that from reading this. I don't know. I'm kind of skeptical about that. But he was certainly, at the time, that was part of what they accused him of. There's things in here, though, this man, like, there's stuff. This is like, it was written by an academic. So a lot of it is just him stating this is what happened. Like, he doesn't put a lot of his own opinion into it. And there are several times in this book where where Balsamo, like, makes predictions and prophecies about things that are going to happen, and they come true. Like, he'll say, I forget who it was who died. And he's like, oh, that person, like, died right now. And then they did die right at that moment when he said that was happening. And this is not like, this is clearly prior to social media. So it's not like he was the first one on Twitter. He saw it. So not at all. Like, that's super weird and super creepy to me. There's there's stuff where he gets asked to predict Marie Antoinette's pregnancy, and he's like, oh, it'll be a boy, and it was a boy. And I always think stuff like that is, I don't know, like, I'm very skeptical. Like, I might have been right too. I would have a 50% chance of being right about that. But then there is stuff in here where he's literally just predicting stuff, and it's kind of weird. Like, how would he know that? And then there's other stuff, though, that he predicts, and he's, like, completely wrong. So who knows? It was a fascinating, very readable read. It's not, like, bogged down in all kinds of wordiness or anything like that. So it was really, really well written. A couple of notes that I made for myself that I thought was kind of interesting. So he actually went around and he was healing people in all these towns that he would stop by in. And people would just line up to come and be healed by him. And at one point, after he had been, towards the end of his life, once he had been imprisoned, they had like a whole team of the best scientists at the time who were going through his elixirs and all of his stuff, trying to figure out what was in them. And one of the ingredients was something called Balm of Canada, which I found fascinating. So I did a bit of research into that. I'm assuming that it was balsam, Canadian balsam fir, maybe, that they were talking about. I'm like, to them, I'm sure like that would have been very exotic, I imagine. It's strange to me anyway. Balm of Canada, but yeah, it's still used. It's still Buckley's cough medicine still uses that ingredient in their cough syrup. So to this day, it's considered to have some kind of efficacy. I know people love their Buckley's when they're sick. I don't. Not myself. And then, so when he's in prison, he, at the end of his life, he's in solitary confinement. So he starts doing paintings and things using his urine and his feces. And I just kind of laughed out loud about that because it reminded me of Saoirse Baron Cohen, just what's a Borat, had a special that he did called What is America, I think. Anyway, and he does like a whole scene about being an ex-con who does his paintings and his using his poop and his anyway, I just thought of that and I thought it was like super funny that those two things were kind of related. Anyway, great read. Glad I did it. Glad it got saved from the unhaul, and it makes me super excited actually to read the other ones that I saved. I'm gonna be really sad if I actually like all of the ones that I saved, because then I'm gonna be like, what other books did I get rid of that I would really, really love to read? But it is what it is. Anyway, so that was an excellent book. And then finally, when I got home from my hike last night, I settled in with Don Miguel Ruiz's The Four Agreements, which was a good book. I think I'm going to use it actually in my class this week and talk about it with my students. I mean, as someone who's studied Buddhism, a lot of this is kind of the same idea. I mean, Buddhism has 8 tenets. This only has 4. And these ones are pretty simple and pretty basic, but they're pretty much parallel. And he does an excellent job of explaining and breaking it down. So, you know, I mean, it was nice that way. I ended up into this book because of reading, it was like The Shadow of the Wind. It was like such an awesome book. And I actually have the other 2 books in the trilogy, and I've tried starting both of them at some point and it just didn't work, but I still have them. I have not unhauled them yet because I do want to try again. Anyway, it was a short book, and I enjoyed it. And like I said, I'll probably try talking about it with my students. Anyway, that's it for now. I hope that I saved the first video. I think I'll have to go and check that right now. And if not, then I'll go back and try that again. Anyway, that's it for now. I hope that you are having a lovely, wonderful day. And we will talk to you later.